What if I told you that the world's largest island, an icy, mysterious land with just 58,000 residents, could become the next global battleground? What if I told you that Greenland, the frozen giant of the Arctic, is now at the heart of a brewing geopolitical storm involving the United States, Denmark, China, and Russia? And what if I told you that former US President Donald Trump is back, reigniting a controversial plan that could reshape global politics forever? This isn't just speculation, this is happening right now. Greenland, once dismissed as an isolated territory of ice and snow, is suddenly the most sought-after piece of land on the planet. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll understand why world powers are making shocking moves to take control of it. But before we dive deep into this global chess game, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, so you never miss an update on the world's biggest power plays. Now, let's go back to where it all started. Back in 2019, Donald Trump made headlines when he suggested that the US should buy Greenland. At the time, the world laughed. Denmark, which controls Greenland, dismissed the idea as a joke. But Trump wasn't joking. He saw something in Greenland that others failed to recognize, a goldmine of strategic and economic value. And now that he's back in office, the idea of controlling Greenland has resurfaced, but this time, it's more than just talk. Just days ago, US military planes landed in Greenland, carrying top officials from Trump's administration, including the US Secretary of Energy and Usha Vance, the wife of Vice President J.D. Vance. On the surface, the visit seemed like a diplomatic mission, but the military presence set off alarm bells. Denmark quickly responded by increasing security, deploying search dogs and additional forces to Greenland. The message was clear: the world is paying attention, and tensions are rising fast. But why is Greenland suddenly at the center of this storm? The answer is threefold: military power, natural resources, and global influence. First, let's talk about military power. Greenland is home to Thule Air Base, a US military installation that plays a crucial role in America's missile defense system. This base is America's frontline defense against potential threats from Russia, China, and even North Korea. Losing influence over Greenland would be a major setback for US national security. This is why the US has maintained a military presence in Greenland since the 1950s, and why Trump's administration is determined to solidify its control. Second, let's talk about what lies beneath Greenland's icy surface, one of the world's richest untapped deposits of minerals. Gold, platinum, iron, copper, uranium, and most importantly, rare earth elements. These minerals are essential for modern technology, military equipment, and green energy solutions like electric car batteries and wind turbines. And here's the kicker: China already controls about 90% of the world's rare earth processing industry. If Beijing were to gain further access to Greenland's resources, it could tighten its grip on global technology production, leaving the US and Europe vulnerable. And that brings us to the third reason: global influence. Controlling Greenland isn't just about military or economic power, it's about shaping the future of international politics. If the US strengthens its hold on Greenland, it can counter China's growing influence in the Arctic. If China makes a move, it could shift the balance of power in its favor. Meanwhile, Russia has its own Arctic ambitions, expanding its military bases and naval presence in the region. Greenland is no longer just an island, it's a geopolitical time bomb waiting to explode. But here's where things get even more complicated. Greenland itself is changing. The people of Greenland have long pushed for independence from Denmark. In 2008, they voted for greater autonomy. By 2025, they could hold a referendum for full independence. If that happens, Greenland will need powerful allies, and both the US and China are waiting to step in. Imagine a scenario where Greenland declares independence, and suddenly, the US, China, and Russia all try to gain control over its resources and strategic location. That's a recipe for global conflict. And right now, Trump's administration is making moves to ensure that when the time comes, the US will be the dominant force in Greenland. But let's not forget, this isn't just about politics. Climate change is also reshaping the Arctic, making Greenland more accessible than ever. As glaciers melt, new shipping routes are opening, making the Arctic a crucial maritime passage for global trade. Countries that control the Arctic will have a major advantage in the future economy. And here's where China enters the picture. Over the past decade, China has aggressively expanded its presence in the Arctic. Chinese companies have tried to buy mining rights in Greenland. Beijing has pushed to build infrastructure projects, including airports and research stations. And let's not forget, the Chinese Academy of Sciences even attempted to establish a permanent research facility near Greenland's capital. This is all part of China's long-term strategy to dominate Arctic trade and resources. The Trump administration knows this. That's why, in 2019, the US pressured Denmark to block Chinese investments in Greenland. And that's why, in 2023, Washington convinced an Australian mining company not to sell its Greenland assets to Chinese firms. The message is clear: America will not let China take Greenland without a fight. But while the US and China battle for influence, Russia is also making strategic moves. Moscow has heavily militarized the Arctic, reopening Soviet-era bases and deploying nuclear-powered icebreakers. The Russian government has made it clear that it sees the Arctic as a key military and economic frontier. If the US pushes too hard for control of Greenland, Russia could escalate tensions by increasing its military presence in the region. And now, with Trump's latest statement suggesting that the US might take aggressive measures to secure Greenland, Russia is watching closely. Russian officials have already criticized Trump's plans, warning that any attempt to take control of Greenland could lead to serious consequences. Moscow has even suggested that it will adjust its military strategy if the US makes a move. So, what happens next? Will Trump push forward with his plan to secure Greenland? Will Denmark be able to maintain control? Will China outmaneuver the US? And what role will Russia play in this high-stakes power struggle? One thing is certain: this is just the beginning. Greenland is no longer just an icy island in the Arctic. It's a global hotspot, a strategic battlefield, and a symbol of the shifting balance of power in the modern world. And if tensions continue to rise, we could be looking at the most significant geopolitical conflict of our time. What do you think? Will Greenland become America's next territory? Will China gain control through economic influence? Or are we heading toward a major conflict in the Arctic? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss our deep dives into global affairs. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.